Hey guys, and welcome back. Today we are working with this Audi S5 and we're going to be going over how to do the multi-mapping and the process behind it. So essentially the first thing you're going to want to do is go up into the car and open up the engine bay by pulling on this lever. Okay. And you're going to go ahead then and open up the bonnet, and you'll notice the engine control unit's off to your right here. So this is the Bosch MG1 CS002 engine control unit. Obviously standard procedure would be to disconnect the battery at this point and then disconnect the actual tabs on the ECU which plug it in. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that now. Right, and we're back. So we've disconnected the battery and we're going to go ahead and start basically taking these tabs off. So you'll see at the top there's this little pin. You just want to press that in and then unplug. Okay, and the second, make sure you do not, whatever you do, put your fingers into the actual plugs, because this could actually short the ECU and cause really big problems for us. Okay, so make sure you do not let that happen. Be very careful with these plugs. Obviously they're quite like fragile, so we're just going to go ahead and take them off one by one like so. Okay, and once we've done that, you've got these tabs here at the bottom of the ECU. We're just going to pull these back and the ECU should lift right out. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and bring this inside and I'll show you about how to pin it out. Alright, so now that we've got the engine control unit inside, we're going to go ahead and open our favorite tool, B-Flash. Okay, so undo the tabs on the front. We're going to get out the tool itself. Okay, we're going to get out the bench cable which connects to the pins in the ECU. We're going to get out the power supply unit there, and also we're going to get out the cable which is going to connect between the computer and the ECU. Okay, so we've got all those out. If you do have the micro pin adapter, that is very useful for this MG1 ECU, because you'll notice that the pins are actually quite small. Okay, so we're going to be very careful with those. So just set everything aside. Obviously the things we don't need we can just chuck away, and we're going to go ahead and set this up together. Okay, so we're going to have our ECU there. We're going to go ahead and plug in the bench cable, the bench harness, making sure to tighten those screws, and we're going to get our micro pin adapters ready. We've got our power supply cable or unit here. We're going to plug that in. Might actually switch sides, and we're going to plug that into power. I'll do that in a moment. And of course we've got our USB data cable which is going to go between the tool and the computer. Alright, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is start pinning it out. Okay, so we're now into B-Flash. We're going to go ahead and open up the protocol for this ECU. It's the MG1 CS002 with the MPC 5777M processor. Okay, we're going to go ahead bench mode and we're going to go press on help. That's going to bring up the instruction manual for this particular engine control unit. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and pin it out as so. Alright, so we go ahead and open image and new tab. We'll see if we can actually get a larger view of what's going on here. Okay, so I'm just scrolling up and we've got the last set of actual tabs here, and we've got our ground, power, and our CAN high and CAN low, and there doesn't appear to be any other pins on this ECU, so we're going to go ahead and do that now. Coming over here, alright, we'll get our micro adapters out. We have our grey and yellow. Okay, so we've got grey and yellow. Alright, I'm going to plug this into our grey and yellow. That is our CAN high and CAN low. Alright, so we're going to bring that over here. Got our grey with our grey and our yellow with our yellow, like that. Okay, and we can see that it is the second row, so not the first row from the bottom, but the second row, and then we've obviously got our grey, then our yellow, so that's how it's going to work. Okay, so we're going to lay it down like that. Okay, our second row, and then we've got our grey one first, and that's on the third pin. Okay, we'll get that on there, so just carefully insert that in there. Like I said, I'm using the micro pin adapter. That is obviously just to protect the pins from bending and all other sorts of issues that may come with using the larger adapters. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and plug that in. Okay, so we've got our CAN high and CAN low connected. And then our last remaining two is our power, or last remaining three is our power and ground. So we've got this cable here with our power. We're going to go ahead and chuck that in. Okay, so we've got power on the left. And we've got our ground, which is our black wires here. Okay, so we've got our ground. Ground goes in. Perfect. And then we've got one more power cable, and that goes on the first of the bottom left of the pins. Okay, so it's up to you whether you use a micro pin. Again, I will do it because it's just safer to do so, and there's nothing wrong with taking a little bit extra precautions. Bottom left. Perfect. All right, and that's that. So that's everything all connected up. We've got it all where it needs to be. Make sure none of the wires are touching where they shouldn't be. Okay, we've identify, and we've got our identification perfectly done there. So the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is read, and we're going to save it as our Audi S5 read. Okay, and it's going to go ahead and start going through the process of reading the engine control unit. Okay, and then from here we can go ahead, perform our tuning, any multi-mapping that we want to do, and yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. You'll notice when putting the ECU back together that the tabs and the plugs are actually color-coded, so you'll know exactly where everything goes based on the fact that everything has been color-coded, okay? And the last one is not full of pins, so that's all connected. What we're going to go ahead and do now is just open up the car. Okay, we're going to turn the ignition on, and we're going to press the brake and the cruise, and as you can see, we now have our map switching all integrated. How good is that? Less than an hour, and we have multi-mapping with 4 different boost settings in our car.